Yo, what's up? This is Coach Vassar. Thank you for joining me with OTF Audio Daily Beats. Appreciate you tuning in, listening to me talk about these workouts. Any feedback is always very helpful so I could provide you a better experience. We're going to jump into it, talk about Thursday, January 16th. This is the 2,000 meter row benchmark. We will see this again later in March at the end of the Transformation Challenge. Similar to the 1 mile benchmark, we are using this as a way to track a non-scale victory for members. Typically, we see this benchmark in dry try prep. Last year, that was in April and September. So for them to have it in March, I doubt they'll do it in April for dry try, but you never know. So something to kind of be aware of. No matter what, it's gonna be a great workout. So give members that, acknowledgement that even though it's a benchmark, if today's not the day to perform, they're going to come in, they're going to get a good sweat, they're going to have a great workout no matter what. So we'll talk about a little bit of everything, break down the treads, rower, weight floor, 3G, and any discrepancies, differences that we'll see. With the 2,000 meter benchmark, this is an endurance day across the board between the treads, rowers, and the weight floor. So as far as key concepts go, on the tread, we're going to perform a short distance one time only, then head to the floor for a circuit. Block 2 is an endurance block of short pushes with long bases in between. The goal is to hold onto your push intensity every round. For the rower, you have the 2,000 meter benchmark. Test your endurance on the rower, set up a strategy, and get through it as quick as possible. On the floor, total body circuits for a well-rounded workout. You'll need dumbbells out, obviously, and the straps, but that's about it. As far as the room setup, a couple things to keep in mind. If you have a whiteboard, I would highly recommend writing down the specific rower warm-up on the whiteboard. They have a 250 meter base row, 10 reps of an alternating step-out squat, and then quick forward-backward hops. They will have that for the first 5 minutes of class. So a lot of off and on, get them off the rower, back on, and everything. Also, I would put wipes on the rower, and I would put wipes on the treadmill. The reason for that is the first block for the treads, they will do a short distance on the treadmill, then they'll head to the weight floor, and then they're done with the treads for a while. So they could wipe it down as a courtesy to the other group. So in the 2G, this is gonna be a switch template. We're looking at the treadmill side first. So if you have people who start on the treadmills, their warm-up is different as well. It's gonna be a 1 minute walk, as always, into 3 minutes at base. And then at the 4 minute mark, you're gonna have them shut down. Take them over to the weight floor. On the VVA, it will give them the rundown of what's going to happen. And then you'll send them back to the treads, get them back to base. And then when you're ready to start the rowers, you'll clear out the screen and then they'll start tackling it. So for block 1 on the tread/weight floor, they're going to begin with a half-mile tread. They choose their own intensity. Since if it's a group that starts on the treads, they could probably be a little bit more conservative. Think about maybe using their base as an extended warm-up for these half miles, or like a very conservative push. Essentially, we want to just get the full body warmed up because when we head to the weight floor, we're going to see 3 exercises there to help prepare them with the benchmark, because all 3 movements will incorporate the different body parts that we use for the rower. We're going to see the strap, single arm, squat, reach, rotate to row. Lots of names, but it's the same single arm squat, reach to rotate with rotation, but now we're also making sure that they do the actual row component at the top. So a lot of upper back engagement, also opening up the hips with the squat. You have the dumbbell hip hinge swing, priming hamstrings and glutes, and then the high plank knee tuck. An option for that one is the alternating knee drive. For the knee tuck specifically, they'll start in that high plank position. They're gonna hop both feet forward and they're gonna pull the knees in. The feet will touch the floor and then they hop back out. Try to have them emphasize keeping the shoulders stacked over the wrist to get a lot of shoulder engagement, but also help keep the core tight. If you have benches out, great option is that people put their hands on the bench. Those 3 exercises, they'll repeat as a circuit for that 13-minute block. That half-mile tread obviously is gonna eat up quite a bit of time, especially depending on people's base efforts and whatnot. So that'll probably take them anywhere from like 2 to 5 minutes, and then whatever time is left, they're on the weight floor. Okay. Once they have finished that, 3-minute transition to swap the room. They'll perform the row block. I'll talk about that later. Then 3 minutes to swap back. That tread group will now be back on the treadmills. And here they have a 7-minute block. It's gonna be 3 rounds of a 30-second push and a 90-second base. Very standard for what we see in the 2,000-meter row benchmark, because once again, it's an opportunity just to get the body moving and emphasize endurance. We could use a moderate or aggressive push, knowing that they have a very long base on the other side. Their goal is to maintain or increase. So if they use like a moderate push, see if they could tap up 0.1, 0.2 on the second and third round. If they're aggressive, power walkers 8+, joggers, runners 1.5 or more, maybe they hold that push. 90 seconds at base, plenty of time here. So what we'll generally see is with that 30-second push, by the end of it, their heart rate will start to tap into that orange. It'll continue to rise during their base before it starts to taper off and then level out and then come back down. After 3 rounds of that will put them right at the 6-minute mark, and then you have a 1 minute all out. That's the 2 tread blocks. That's it. All right, now let's talk about the other side of the room. So if you have someone who starts on the rower, they're gonna be starting with that dynamic warm-up, 250-meter row, the squats, the forward-backward hops. They'll complete that for about 4 minutes, or it's maybe about 5 minutes, and then at the 5-minute mark, have them get set up and get ready to get on the rower. Overview of it, they're doing the stored programs, 2,000-meter row. When they're done, check their time. If they wanna put in the challenge tracker, have them do it. Wipe down the rower. They're done with the rower. They're never using it again for the rest of the day. Then they'll head to the treadmill, and for whatever time is remaining, they will complete a 0.1 mile tread and a 30-second walk recovery on repeat, okay? After that, they'll head to the tread side. They'll do the tread weight floor circuit. If they had just completed the benchmark, that half-mile tread could look different than the other group. So there's an opportunity, maybe like a conservative push or a standard push for that half mile. Then they'll wipe it down and head to the floor and do that circuit there. Once they have completed the tread block, when we rotate the room, they're really not moving. They're actually gonna stay where they are. And then they're gonna have a floor circuit. That 7-minute block, we're gonna see strap chest press, a dumbbell alternating lateral lunge, and dumbbell clean to neutral grip push press. They'll repeat that 10 reps each for those 7 minutes. Their finisher is whichever movement they like, they will do for the final minute straight through. So that's gonna be upwards of 15 to 25 plus reps depending on the movement pattern. So with that finisher, they may, if they're doing the dumbbell movements, they might go lighter to keep moving. If they use the same weight, they might have to take breaks and recover in between. So rolling back, let's talk about the benchmark. All right, so 2,000 meters. Like I said, this is the longest benchmark we do on the rower. It's probably the most intimidating as well. But in the grand scheme of things, 2,000 meters is not that long. A majority of people will probably, if they are really good with technique, they could be very similar to like their 1 mile time, or at least, within a couple minutes of that. So, there's a lot of different strategies, but the most simplest one, and this is what they tend to use with like their official post on Instagram and everything, is 2,000 meters set up into 4 quarters, 500-meter sections, okay? Because that way you could use their split time as a gauge to see the time it will take them to finish. So every 500 meters is a check-in point. Generally, you'll have people who we will want them to start on the conservative side of their split time and then try to pull back by lowering that split time every quarter through to kind of build that intensity. If people start a little too hot out of the gate, it's hard to maintain that split time, and then it'll start creeping up on them. And then they almost get that defeated outlook on it when they realize, wow, my split time is substantially higher and I'm gassing out. So start conservative, build their way up. For reference, if they do a 2:30 split, it will take them 10 minutes to finish the 2,000 meter row. A 2-minute split will take them 8 minutes. A minute 45 is a 7-minute row. A minute 30 is a 6-minute row. Now that's if their split time is that as the average for the entire time they're rowing. So if they are looking to finish in under 6 minutes, like if they start, like 1:35 or so, every split, they will have to try to drop their time on the split time by 2 or 3 seconds to make up that difference from kind of being a little behind pace in that case. Very tough to do. People can crack 6 minutes under. Generally, you'll see people who are really tall and really strong. So the main thing is finishing this benchmark is the challenge in itself for a majority of people, especially if people do a lot of 2Gs, because we just don't really row this amount at one time in a 2G. People who do 3Gs, this is probably just fine. Like, it's still gonna be tough and hard for them, but they, generally get about 1,500 to 2,000 meters in a 3G class anyways. Now we're just trying to make them do it all at once with a time goal. So that being said, this is one where, as the coach, the other half of the room is pretty on their own with the tread set and the circuit. So most of your attention should be on the people, on the rowers, helping them stay engaged, keeping them accountable, and to really make sure that people are not breaking down on form drastically. So that way we can make sure that they're safe. Especially that final 500 meters, that's when people really start to fatigue out, and you'll see a lot of rounding over. So remind people, sit up tall, hinge in, keep that core tight, and most importantly is they have to breathe. All too often, they lose that rhythm. Exhale on the way back, inhale on the way in. I personally do a double breath. So as I move in, I take a deep breath in, exhale when I'm all the way forward. As I drive back, I'm gonna take a deep breath in and then exhale here. And that's what works for me. So just something to kind of think about. Now, the other thing, heart rate monitors. It's gonna do weird shit because people are gonna grip really hard. They're gonna row the first 500 meters and they're probably gonna be in the gray and they're gonna start freaking out. So if you have anyone in your class that they are always struggling with their heart rate monitor when they're on the rower and they get frustrated, have them take it off. Ignore the monitor and just focus on the row itself. It's very liberating for some of those people on benchmarks because then they don't get caught up on it, all right? They could also just not log into the OT Connect if they are not too concerned with their data. But if they want their data, put it on, log in, but take the monitor off. If they know they're the type where it always ends up in gray when they're rowing and they're always complaining like, I'm busting my ass, but it's still in the gray. Well, that's a topic for another day. Anyways, that's the 2G. 3G, nice and simple. 14-minute block at every station. Treadmills, nothing crazy there. They have the standard warm-up, 1-minute walk, 5 minutes at base. They will actually have a tread card. Quarter-mile push, 1-minute walk recovery. They're gonna repeat that multiple times until we call time. The finisher is a 30-second all out. Their goal is to establish a push on the first round and then match your beat every round. So that quarter-mile push, by the third, fourth round, if they make it there or even more, it might be closer to an all out. But that's also why they get that 1-minute walk recovery. If people don't need that full minute, they could obviously finish out their minute at base and then start their next quarter mile. They could start another round sooner. A lot of ways to spin it. But don't over delve into that because once again, the priority is on the rowers. Now for the rower group, if people start on the rower, they have that same dynamic warm up. So hopefully you have that whiteboard written out there. They're gonna do the 2,000 meter row. And then their bonus is to do a alternating reverse lunge with straight arm overhead raise. So as they step back, they'll extend their arms up. As they step forward to stand tall, arms drop. They'll alternate their legs for 12 reps and then 100 meters at base. And they'll repeat that until you call time for the finisher, which is their choice of either a 30-second all out or the body weight exercise. Weight floor, we're gonna take the two floor circuits and just put them all together. So strap chest press, hip hinge swing, single arm squat reach with rotation to row, that's a lot, alternating lateral lunge, and the clean to neutral grip push press. And same thing, their finisher, whichever one they like the most, they'll do that for the final 30. There you go, that's gonna be the 2,000 meter benchmark. Set people up for success. If they have done it in the past, look up their information, give them a goal split time to try to sustain and maintain if you have the time to do the math to figure that out for them. And then get after it. There you go. Coach it down.